Why employers should hire a lazy person. Let's have a look. This should be fun. I was working as a stock boy in a supermarket, and when we had to fill the milk cooler, people would bust open a 12-pack of milk cartons and put them in one by one. On my first day, I just placed the 12-pack in the cooler and cut the plastic off on one side with my box cutter and yanked it from under it, and the look of the store manager and the other employee who was training me was pure bewilderment. That's amazing. I love that. From that day, everyone did it my way. Good work. Start of lockdown, my 9-year-old son was having worksheets emailed to complete at home. One day, left him at the laptop doing his maths while I made some dinner with my 3-year-old daughter. Walked into the living room with his dinner to find him asking the Alexa all of his maths questions. That's incredible. That makes me happy. Go on, lad. Worked as a labourer at a nursery one summer. Daily tasks included manually watering 15,000 plants each day. Okay. Put together a back of the napkin plan to build an irrigation system and spent the next few weeks building it with some money from the boss. That system is still running 15 years later and does all the work now. Love it. I did automate myself out of the job and had to find another eventually. A couple years later, got my engineering degree. I'm convinced engineers are inherently lazy people that will spend a disproportionate effort to make things easier. Makes sense, I like it. My brother-in-law spent a whole summer trying to figure out how to fix his sagging deck at the lake, which he could in theory crawl under and jack it up. It would have been a tunnelling project. It's a 60 by 60 area, all long 2x6 boards, massive. I sat there long enough with enough beers in me to come up with the idea of just cutting a square out of the sagging area, about 3 by 3 feet, jacking it up, then re-screwing down the boards. He paints the thing every spring with a roller anyhow, so it's not like the square cut shows up. He thought I was a genius. I was just lazy. I like it. We had to hold a thermometer in water in chemistry class. It probably was only but 20-minute experiment, but your arms get tired after a couple of minutes and you can't let the thermometer touch the bottom of the pan or it won't get an accurate reading. So instead of sucking it up and just holding the thermometer, my lab partner built a contraption out of lab books and paper clips to somehow hold the thermometer in the water without it touching the bottom. It was the stupidest looking thing you would ever see in a lab class, and our professor even walked over and said, if it looks stupid, sounds stupid, but it works, then it isn't stupid. My lab partner and I joke that he wasn't talking about the contraption, but the intellect of my lab partner. I like it. I had a math teacher that actively encouraged his students to be as lazy as possible, defining lazy as actively searching for ways to do as minimal work as possible. Okay. His logic was that the way math is now, it could always be simplified and still work the same. Someone just needs to be lazy enough to find that. Okay. The clerk was asked to bring 145 white papers into the office. He doesn't want to count the papers manually, so he printed 145 blank sheets and took them in. That would take a lot longer, I feel, but good work. I was a paid intern at a large company during one summer back home from college. My work, 95%, consisted of using Zap, import to Excel, clean data and generate reports, occasionally create some tool someone needed. In the first 2 weeks after getting a hang of my responsibilities, writing all of the Excel formulas needed and basically automating 9% of my work, I was chilling. I went from actually enjoying from 9 till 5 to maybe 1 hour tops a day. I went from actually working, sorry. Finding, importing, cleaning and reporting usually took hours, but with all the formulas it took 2 minutes of clicking. I then helped the other cool intern get his set up so we could both chill. We could take 2-hour lunches paid for by the company, and nobody said anything because we were just getting so much more done than the other interns. Amazing. Of course, I helped for special tasks when asked, but those were simple 20-minute tasks building something in Excel. Overall, was the easiest / stress-free internship of my life. Like it. One of my favourite examples is Andy Kim, and I'd like to preface this by saying that I don't think Kim is lazy as so much as a genius. Andrew Yua Kim was a singer / songwriter who became famous under the stage name Andy Kim. He achieved success writing songs for bands like the Archies, possibly not most notably Sugar Sugar. After his success, he coasted for a while until his record label dropped him for lack of output. At that point, he created his own label and cranked out hits like Rock Me Gently. When they saw this, the big record labels then bought his label under the assumption that they would then profit off of the songs he wrote and performed. He then very shortly stopped writing songs and largely lived off the sale of his label. Work smarter, not harder. I love it. It took me like 3 months, but I automated a data pipeline to extract data, clean it up and spit it out in an Excel or PDF format to one of our clients. I walked over to shoot with the lady who handles my client and gives me tasks, and she told me we make 40k off them every month for that automated job. I need to go start my own business. That you do. When Carl Friedrich Gauss, the famous German mathematician and physicist, was in elementary school around 1784, his class was assigned the busy work task of adding all the numbers from 1 to 100 and so on. This usually kept the class quiet for half an hour or so. So 7-year-old Carl was sitting quietly with the correct answer, 5050, while the rest of the class was just starting. So the surprised teacher asked him how he came up with the solution. He replied that he added 1 and 100 and got 101. Then he added 2 and 89 and got 101, plus 3 plus 98 equals 101, and so on. He realized there was a pattern of 50 pairs of numbers, with each pair adding up to 101. 50 times 101 equals 5050. Amazing. That's smart, that. For a 7-year-old, that's pretty damn incredible. When I was in college, I had a job at an Italian fast food place with a reputation for its breadsticks. They came in frozen and needed a bit to thaw. So we take a giant 3x4 foot aluminium baking sheet, spread them out in a single layer with no spaces and cover it with a plastic bag. Then leave it, sit in and walk in overnight. The next day you'd have to get a pair of tongs and move each stick to a new tray, turning them over. Then cover the new tray with a bag and let them sit on racks for a couple of hours before brushing on the garlic butter sauce. This was tedious enough that you'd usually be ready to brush the butter on the first tray as soon as you turn the last tray. I was given this task for the first time one morning and just did not want to deal with it. I realised if I put the second tray upside down on top of the first one, then turned it over and took the first tray out, I got exactly the same results. Blew the boss's mind when I did the 3-hour job in about 15 minutes. I was given a 0.5 cent per hour raise. That's it, crikey. Start your own business. January 21st. I plug clocks in at midnight so they are already set. Okay, I like it. I worked goods in for an aircraft manufacturer as a summer job at university. Parts would arrive, we'd open them and key in all the details into a terminal. That bit was long-winded. I discovered the terminal keyboard had assignable shortcuts and set up a bunch of them for all the boilerplate, such that keying in an item was about 6 keystrokes. Saved myself and my workmate hours every day, which we would spend pranking each other, other warehouse staff and staff at other sites. An older company had a person dedicated to data entry, which boiled down to copying and pasting portions of data from text files into spreadsheet and formatting into a report. The person originally doing this job spent a full 40 plus hours per week doing it, but was not very computer literate. When they retired, the company hired someone with actual skills. The new hire convinced management to let her work remotely after getting up to speed on the job. The first week at home was spent automating the entire job. The remainder of their multi-year tenure with the company was spent doing whatever they wanted, save the 10 to 15 minutes weekly to run their program and to answer the odd email here and there, all while getting paid full salary and benefits. They actually had to add in a few errors now and then to make it seem realistic. Oh, that's incredible. Great work. Back in high school, a lot of kids used to walk through this park to get home to school. A portion of the path went into the woods because it was just quicker than walking the actual trail. At one point in the walk through the woods, you had to go up this small but tedious hill. Nothing major, but it took like 10 seconds of hard work to go up it. You couldn't go around because one side was a small cliff to the creek below and the other side had dense trees. One summer, a bunch of us got together and decided to just dig through that hill to make it flat. It took like 14 of us 3 good days to get through it. It was a hard 3 days, but it was definitely worth it. Saved 10 seconds of hill climbing every morning and afternoon. 150 plus days of the year. And it wasn't just us, but hundreds of other kids who took the same party every day. Sometimes you need to put in a lot of work so your future selves can enjoy the easy way out. That is some great advice at the end there. I was invited to my friend's yearly apple picking. It was a full day of apples and kids and filling a truck for cider. I'm lazy and suggested we make the process more efficient with tarps on the ground. We managed in 2 hours what historically took all day. We didn't even get to the picnic lunch. Essentially, I ruined apple picking. Oh, that's good. Smart, it's good. Walkie-talkies. In every job I've ever had, these things make your day far less labour intensive if used correctly. It's very true. In Australia, explorers discovered a mountain that was taller than Mount Kosciuszko, which was thought to be the tallest mountain in Australia. Rather than cause confusion by telling everyone a new tallest mountain had been found, they simply named the new mountain Mount Kosciuszko, I can't pronounce it, and renamed the original to something else. That's actually quite clever. I quite like that. I have a massive exercise to do at our year-end accountancy. My work previously got checked by another manager who spent over 3 weeks going over the data. Eventually, she got shifted to another department and that workload fell on me. Basically, self-audit and then present the data to actual auditors. My previous manager was absolutely at Excel. I'm absolutely bad, I'm going to assume. I didn't let on, but I did all the audit on a separate file using simple but out of the way formulas. Not only did I reduce the task from 3 weeks to basically real-time checks, no time, but when I was told that I have to perform that exercise every month, my job became a doddle. I didn't let on that everything was automated by sum ifs, indexing, max values and range checks. Living the dream. Sorry if I rambled on. At work, I go through parts and apply 2 different kinds of tape and 2 different kinds of weave. I have finally got the rhythm down and now I do each part individually and apply everything all at once. Everyone else goes through an entire order just applying tape, then goes through it again to do the weave. I asked to use the big table in the back of the shop and just put all the tape and weave tools there and do the parts all at once. Normal rate for an 8-hour shift is 1200, but I can manage 1800 in a day going at a nice steady pace. Edit, I can get 1800 going at a steady pace. I've done it before, but I usually don't. Most days I go slow and relax, purposely only making 1300 to 1350 or so parts. It's just enough over rate to get my incentive bonus, and thanks to being a hard and fast worker, the uppers leave me alone and my big table in the back. They look the other way when I have an earbud in one ear, and they don't notice that I scroll Reddit or read a lot. Edit, I can't say what products we make, they're too recognizable, and googling it would reveal where I work and live. Strong, fair enough. I knew a guy who had a low-level data/reporting job. He had several daily/weekly work responsibilities, including a bunch of reports that needed quite a bit of tweaking from raw data to finished product. But like I said, low level. We didn't find out until way later, but he had set up macros for each of his major responsibilities where he could. Once set up, he'd just run the macros to do his work, but then he'd smartly hold off on delivering the reports until just a little before the deadlines. He'd hit every assignment and was seen as reliable. He also would complain about the workload, so people would leave him with that work. I doubt he did a full hour of work a day after he set up what he did. Eventually, he left the job for one with better pay, but damn did he work lazy. Also, he was smart not to reveal until the end, because had he told them about it, he would have gotten a pat on the back and would have been given a whole other workload, on top of maintaining those macros. Dude milked the job, not the other way around. I like it, great work. Me, I automate all the time at work to make daily routine jobs more easy. I write manuals with screenshots with arrows indicating where to click or where to fill in what. Whenever I write a manual, I assume that whoever reads it is a complete idiot, so that whenever customers call for the same questions again, I just send to them the online manual I created. No need to type it out again by email or explain it again by phone. Does Alexander and the Gordian knot count? A complex knot that, according to prophecy, was to be undone only by the person who was to rule Asia, and that was cut, rather than untied, by Alexander the Great. That's good, I like that. My boss put my name in for leading a project group shortly after I joined the company. I had no experience whatsoever about project managing, yet he still demanded that I lead the group of 12 people. All way smarter guys, tech background. These guys are like magicians for me, and with way more time at the company. I'm a business guy who's too dumb for balance sheets, that's why I'm in HR, and because I quite like the field the most. So we started the first meeting. I asked for everyone's plan, experience and ideas, gathered the different pros and cons, cross-checked with the budget we had, put on a time frame with milestones to reach, around 6 months, put in valuable people to consult at different steps. Why did I do that? Because I like organising stuff and keep everyone on the same page and delegate to-dos. Got promoted because of the success of the project. I asked my boss why he put me in for it since I never done anything like that. He said because I complained in the first week that most of the work has way too wonky structure, no clear guideline, and this could be improved heavily if we just take some time into it. And because I hated talking to others if I had questions and I wouldn't get a clear answer. Like, ask 10 people the same question and you get 15 different answers. In the long run, this would make us way more efficient and keeps everyone on the same page. All because I hated disorganized work. Years ago, as a student, I got a job stocking shelves. Guys were carrying the heavy boxes, put them on the floor and bend each time to pick up the items to put on the shelves. I was maybe a light 100 pounds woman and carrying the boxes was just killing me physically. So one day I had an idea. I put the box on an old desk chair and rolled it around. No more carrying and no more bending. Funny thing is that, instead of doing the same thing, most of the guys called me lazy and kept carrying the heavy boxes, just to prove how strong they were. Now they have special rolling carts to do the job. The entire miscellaneous kitchen tools section at Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't need an avocado slicer or a lemon squeezer or an automatic chopper/dicer, but lazy old me definitely puts them to good use. My brother gave my oldest nephew $10 a week if he did all his chores without needing to be told or complaining. One day he gets home early from work and sees the neighbour kid tossing a bag in the trash. He asks him what he is doing and the kid says he gets $5 a week to take care of a few chores. My nephew outsourced his chores. That's amazing. Great work. Well, I worked in a graphics design studio as an intern. They mostly had me practice and do some basic stuff the head designers was too busy to do. One was a real estate ad. It had a few basic templates, but it was all kinds of scatterbrained. I would spend 5 to 10 minutes trying to find the right layer for all the pictures, and I had to mess with this way too much. So I made copies of the files and made one for each template. I labeled everything, made it so the images on top of each other wouldn't clip into the lower ones like the previous did, so on. You could be in and out of the templates in 2 to 3 minutes. Showed my boss the difference, and he had this face of, well, he said the next day that if I was a graduate, he'd hire me because I was better than the people sending applications in. In short, I made an overly complicated, unorganized thing the opposite, and my boss was actually sad he couldn't hire me. I had to carry groceries into the house when I was a kid. I didn't want to make multiple trips, so I tied several bags to the belt loops on my pants to do it in one trip. I'm doing it right now, automated data cleaning in Python. My co-workers don't know about it, so something that takes me 10 minutes at most takes them 2 hours. Edit, for everyone who says I should share my code, I have. I even set up a private GitHub space for my team. Some have taken it up, but others, including management, do not like it. I think they feel a bit threatened or a little threatened. Water is super lazy and will literally find the easiest way to go anywhere every single time. An engineer spent hours developing a program so they could start the coffee pot from their desk and not have to wait for coffee when arriving in the break room. That's good. I don't know if this is a true story, but kind of fits your request. There was a manufacturing plant that made toothpaste. One year, for some reason, there ended up being an unusually high number of empty boxes being shipped out. So in order to stop that from happening, the head of the company hired a couple of engineers to develop a system to catch any empty boxes, so they didn't get shipped with the boxes that actually had the toothpaste tubes in them. The engineers developed a system that if the box weighed below a certain amount, the system would stop and a worker would have to go remove the box and start everything up again. The person in charge loved the idea and implemented it immediately, and right from the get-go, the number of empty boxes shipped dropped to near 0. The head of the company wanted to go see the system in action, so he goes and visits the plant one day and notices a huge fan right by the assembly line. Very confused, as it wasn't hot, he asked the manager why the fan was there. The plant manager said the workers were tired of stopping what they were doing to remove an empty box, so they just hooked up a fan to blow the empty boxes off the scale before the system recognized it was empty and shut everything off. That's amazing. That's great. I love that. So laziness led to a more efficient and cost-effective plan. Love it. My greenhouse's watering system. I would spend an hour per day watering the garden, 30 hours per month. So for $50, I set up a PVC watering system in a few hours. Now I just turn on the spigot and watch while I smoke a joint. Programming away work is the real life example of this. My wife and I have a chore list. I now am tasked with vacuuming, which she gloated about not having to do because it is so time consuming. I bought a Roomba and now the house is cleaner than ever and all I have to do is press a button on my phone. I remember reading about a Texas airport that had a high rate of complaints from people who had to wait a long time for their luggage at baggage claim. The solution? Assign a further away baggage claim for the same flights. People walked longer, but complaints went way down since they didn't have to wait as long. Smart. Love it. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.